Hi, I'm Patty Blenderman, and as an ADHD coach, I am always looking for ways to help myself thrive with ADHD, but also to take what I learn and put it out there so that others can explore to see if it would work for them. So I guess Becca's like holding her cup, like, is she gonna have to start over again? Like not taking a sip in the background. I'm like, I got this. I got this.
Got this.
If you're looking for more support with your ADHD brain wiring, I invite you to check out my website, ADHD-Friendly, where I have lots of resources as well as information on my membership community that I'm going to have a celebration about in a minute. So this week I'm celebrating a workshop win, and that's a workshop for my membership. I have an update on my spending from this week. And I'm also going to share a tip on how to toss things out with a little bit more ease. We tend to hold on to things that just in case I need it kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then I have my ADHD friendly product of the week and my topic, which is spring hacks for ADHD brains. Plus, I will wrap up with my book of the week and a quote. So let's dive in and see if we can find some ways to make this week a little bit more ADHD friendly. We start as always with a win, and this is a win from my membership offering. So I do 2 live workshops a month on the topic that we're covering that month in my ADHD-U course that is offered in ADHD friendly. It's a lot of ADHD words, but one of the live workshops that I did this month was called Map Your Wins. And I talked about how to put some structure around capturing your successes and your wins so you can start to see patterns. It's really a game changer for those with ADHD brains because we tend to hyper focus on the negatives and what isn't going well and on our weaknesses. And we really need to flip the script there and focus on wins. So what I found really interesting is, and this is why I love so much creating the content for my membership, is I try the things out and I learn from it as well. And I wouldn't necessarily have created a lot of the material if I wasn't creating the course. So in the spring course, we were talking about ADHD 101 and really learning about what works for our brains so we can capture it in our personal owner's manual. And what works for our brains is to capture wins. So when I did the workshop, I created a little tool. So I'm going to share a lot of visuals in this episode. So if you're listening to this, I invite you to check out my YouTube channel, ADHD Friendly, where you can see all of the things I'm going to be sharing. But I made a little tool, a 1-page sheet, I like to call it. It's in blue ink, so it doesn't quite pop as much as black. But I just called it my weekly wins mapping. And then I had a little line to indicate what week it was. I printed out like 3 of these so I could try it out. And I just found like I was trying to think about capturing categories of wins. So I had list at least 10 wins from the past week. And I had categories like work, home, supporting your future self, an exercise win, time management win. And then review the list for patterns to see like what types of things supported your future self, what types of things were wins. Maybe it was a certain time of day you tend to have more wins, or maybe a day of the week, or maybe a type of win. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm like kicking it on the self-care wins, but I'm really struggling to get things at work done or whatever it is. It helps you to see those patterns with the structure. And then I had a place just to acknowledge 1 win to put in my expecto patronum journal each week. So I shared the structure in the workshop. But what I learned was in practice, as much as I thought I would like the structure that this provided, when I went to fill it out the next week, it didn't work at all. I found this very rigid to think about, okay, what's a work win? Because it really only has space for 1 of each.
Yeah.
And I found that was limiting me. So this is my celebration, guys, is that I really do try to lean into what I notice works and doesn't work for my brain. And I allow myself to start by experimenting with something and learn what I like and don't like, and then I change it. So what I learned was I just wanted to make a dump list. If I tried to think about specific wins in specific categories, it stopped me from acknowledging wins or remembering wins. So I found it more helpful to go through my success journal and go through like my calendar, just so I could see. I went through my task list every day to see if I got checked off. And I just made a long list of all of my wins for the week. And then I went through and I categorized those wins. So I put like A P next to it was like a personal or a patty win. I put an H if it was a home win, a W if it was a work win, and so on. Well, then I tweaked this tool, and now I have a sparkly new tool that has similar structure. It's still weekly wins mapping, but I now have categories with blocks of spaces. So I can write my work wins as many as I want, my home wins, my family wins, my personal wins, and my future self wins. So it's just basically a 5 kind of block, if you will, structure. It's not a one pager because it didn't work as a one pager, because then I realized I also wanted to know what didn't get done.
Yeah.
Because I do have wins, but I don't want to ignore the things that didn't happen. So then again, same structure. What didn't happen at work, at home, in my family life, or in my personal life, or for my future self. Then I look for patterns. And then I ask myself, what one thing would work better? And what win can you add to your expector patronum journal? So I just tweaked it a little bit to help me explore a little bit more.
Yeah.
So I used it. I took the structure of the dump list. I filled it into, wait, that's this week. I've already started writing things down. No, I filled it into the structure in the categories.
Love it.
I highlighted with a little red star, as you can see, the ones that felt particularly good that I achieved them. And then on the back, I filled in what didn't happen. And here's what I noticed. I really, really, really didn't do the home things.
Yeah.
Because what I noticed was the work got done. I did everything. I was just slamming it at work. This is from last week. But I didn't get the personal things done. So I realized, I wrote down, I'm out of balance. The personal things weren't, I let myself become, this happens a lot with us, less of a priority.
Yes.
And everything else, was more important. But what I realized was I needed to make calls. So we have a very slow, like dripping faucet that I had to find a plumber, because we've never needed a plumber since we've been here.
So plumber.
A plumber, yep. So I had to find one. I had to call one, because the ones that I found were like solopreneurs and they didn't have like a contact on their website. I had to, you guys know I hate making calls. And so I totally put it off and didn't do it. And I just literally turned the water off underneath that sink. I was like, I'm done. I can do without it. But that becomes a toleration. So this form became a really helpful tool, because as soon as I finished filling it in, I went and called.
There you go.
We played phone tag for about back and forth, but now the plumber is scheduled to come in 2 days. They're coming on Friday. So
there you go.
Hopefully it's just a quick little fix and we'll move on. But regardless, I'm getting it looked at. So that feels really good. And then when I asked myself what one thing would work better, what I noticed was, because a lot of the home things weren't getting done, and look how long my personal, these were not happening. I have slipped. I have a rule, and I hope this isn't boring. I'm really sharing this because I want to help you think about what you notice the patterns are in your life and where you might do one thing that would positively impact many. So when I looked at what didn't get done, my daily walk was thrown off a couple of times. I told you I fell the one day when I was walking because the wind was blowing and the trash was all over. And so I went a different way because I didn't want to have to deal with trash cans. I was cheating on my intermittent fasting. I was cheating on my no sugar added during the week. Yep, just little bits. I was putting off picking up a prescription. I wasn't writing in my success journal. I wasn't knitting. So I had all these things. And what I realized was the one thing, I'd like to change any of those. I was like, okay, I'm just going to double down and say, that's it. I have to walk every day, period. Just get back to the consistency. But what I realized was the one thing that would impact all of those things, the knitting, the writing in the journal, the no added sugar, the kind of eating outside of my window, I believe was tied to my watching TV at night. Which I really don't do.
Right. That was part of your routine.
Right. No TV on weekdays. And I've just slowly slid into this routine where I put it on and then it stays on. And sometimes I'm working on my computer doing slides or different things, but it's just become this slow
background noise.
Yep. And I've just evolved to it just is on and then I'm just sitting there and I'm not moving and it's really hard for me to get up and keep going. Yeah. So I just made that my thing. I'm like, all I'm doing this week is no TV at night. And I realized it'll make my walk more easy because I'm bored. Right. What am I doing?
You want to go do something.
I will call because I also didn't call my son. I kept meaning to call him and I kept getting in my head.
Right.
I don't know if he's working. I don't want to bother him. And I'm like, okay, well, if I'm not walking, I tend to call people when I'm walking. So I'm like,
Something to do.
that also, it's, just if I'm not watching TV, I'm going to, if I'm walking in the afternoon, I'll be more likely, I'll do less mindless eating and I'll do more knitting because I am
Your hands are
listening to a
busy.
book or I'm, doing something productive. So I am using that structure. That was a really long win. And oh my gosh, I should have just had that be like my tip for the week. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll just like see how flexible I can be in my brain and move on because I don't want this episode to be that long. But it was exciting that I already started my list for this week. It was that sparkly.
Oh,
I know. So I'm like really excited about what I learned and how I noticed it didn't work and how I just pivoted. And that's really the message that I'm sharing is allow yourself to experiment, allow yourself to begin. Don't be attached to the outcome. Just notice what works and what doesn't so you can adjust it to work better for your brain. Now to what I purchased this week, and it's going to be tied into my product of the week. Oh my gosh. So my son bought this candle for himself. And when he shared it with me, I was like, I must have that. Literally, you were here last week. I sent him out to buy. I was like, go and get it. You know, talking about impulsive, like I literally sent somebody out on an errand to buy me the thing that I immediately thought I needed. But okay, so it's Bath and Body Works Pina Colada, coconut Pina Colada candle. I usually, because this is like regularly $16.95, like come on, for this little I'm just not a big fan of like, I think that's like, I don't know, I think that's a lot for a little candle like this. I've learned I don't like their 3-wick candles. They're too big. I don't need it.
Yeah, bulky.
Yeah, even though like I'm sure it's a better deal for how much candle you're getting.
Yeah.
But I don't want 3 wicks it's just too much.
It's powerful.
Yeah, it's just too much. Have you smelled this guy? I had the one over there burning because it was buy one, get one free, guys. So I was like, okay. And it expired that day, which is why I sent him on, go get me this. Go get it.
Oh,
do you like it?
So good. I love Pina Colada.
I know. I love fruity smells. I don't like floral smells.
Yes.
I tend to be allergic to those. So this, and it's so strong. I literally just leave the top off and you can smell it. So I do love this guy. So I did buy this. Buy one, get one free, $16.95 each. So it was $16.95 plus tax for 2. The website says they last 40 to 50 hours, some crazy amount of time.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So I was like, okay, that will last me probably through the summer because I don't burn candles every day.
That's a great scent for summer.
Well, it's just a fun little thing. So that's exciting. Okay. And then here's my other thing that I purchased. First, I want to have a moment of silence, really just a second. My trusty Epson EcoTank printer has printed its last page.
That is sad.
It was done. It died in the middle of the day on Thursday, right after you left. The next, So I was like, okay. And I tried, there is a part that I've ordered that might be able to revive it. My husband's gonna look at it and see if he can fix it. But it was like a 2-week to get here kind of thing.
And
so
you print things
every day.
daily.
Yeah. Like I was like, only because I was going to the weekend. Otherwise I would have had to get in the car and go get it myself. But I did order it because we were going into the weekend. I was like, okay, I can get through Friday. I didn't have a workshop on Friday or something. So I was like, okay, I can tolerate that. So I was able to pull up a report because it didn't like die power wise. It just wouldn't print anymore.
Yeah. Okay.
I had that guy for under 4 years. I printed 23,726 pages. I don't think I have a problem. I don't know what you're talking about.
Big paper people over here.
Yeah, I'm no wonder I'm having such a hard time with my files and my paper piles. But that I would say, I don't know what one of my kids was like, well, what's the average life? I'm like, I don't know, but I would have to guess that 23,000 pages has got to be like a pretty good shelf life for a printer. The sad thing is it's still sitting over there. Can you see the levels? I had just filled up all of the ink. Now, granted, the reason I like this guy is because the ink is very affordable and it lasts forever. Like I probably in all of those 23,000, I have purchased ink, I think 3 times, pretty much once a year.
That's incredible.
So I really can't complain, except it's stinking full to the brim with ink, which is why I'm like, okay, I still want my husband to try to fix it.
Yeah, that'd be a waste of
because the ink just makes me sick if it's fixable. So I don't know. We'll see. but I'm a moment of farewell to my tried and trusty one. I got a new one. So I did buy a new one. It was on sale at Costco for $100 off. So it was $279 for my new guy. Regularly $379. And I have to tell you, I'm very, very happy with my Epsom because when I looked again yesterday, they're sold out.
Oh, wow.
So the sale went through April 30th, but they were sold out when I looked just a few days later. So I'm very grateful because the only ones left to buy were the super expensive ones. They were like $5.99 and $6.99.
Oh, wow.
Which I don't think I could have justified. I think I would have had to start driving around looking to see who else had, like it just would have been a pain. So I got the same, it looks exactly the same. I mean, it looks spitting image. It was kind of disappointing because usually it's like, oh, it's the new one sparkling now. It looks exactly the same. It opens the same. I filled it the same. Like it's exactly the same. And it came with like 3 black ink bottles, and the black ones are always like
the bigger
huge.
one. And
I'm like, what? That's why there's one on top of that guy. So I'm like, if that gets fixed, that goes with that one. Yes, exactly. It did come with all the colors, but I was like, and I tried to take the ink out of that one to put in the new one, but it's all screwed in. And I was like, and because they're so full, I'm like, I'm going to make a mess. If I take them, exactly. If I try to take these, I thought I could just lift out each thing. And no, it's not like that. So anyway, got a new printer. It wasn't an expense I was planning to have.
Right.
And if I could have waited a few weeks, the replacement part was like under $20. I just clearly 23,700 plus pages. I couldn't wait a few weeks on the hope that it would fix it.
Right.
So that's what I spent this week. That's all I have to say about that. Okay. I'm going to skip my tip because I kind of already shared my tip. I'm going to share this for next podcast in the essence of not taking this, like to make this the longest podcast in a long time. So my tip is going to just be to experiment, learn what works for you so that you can use it with intention to create structure where it's going to support you. It's that I've been playing with this term a bit in the last few months, structured unstructure or unstructured structure, where it's like it's enough structure that works for you, but not so much that you feel confined and restricted, because that's not going to work. All right. Now for our topic for this week, spring hacks for ADHD brains. Woo. It's spring. Spring is like full on. My voice just cracked.
It's very green here.
It is getting very green. It is starting to really, like, the trees are blooming. I don't know if some of my hyacinths outside, they're blooming. A lot of them have been eaten by voles or something under the ground, but they apparently eat the bulbs. But a few of them have really like thrived and they've come up, and I love them. I'm allergic to the smell of them, so I only can have them outside. But I love looking at them. They're so pretty. So spring, just the change of season, the novelty, the more daylight hours, all of these things can create more energy for us. So I'm going to just give you some tips how to take that spring energy and use it to get more done. So let's lean into the novelty that creates more interest for our brains. It fires us up. So I like to capitalize on that wherever I can. And for me, living here in Chicago, I just enjoy spring in ways I never did in North Carolina. In North Carolina, this time of year, I start getting really stressed and really starting to like hunker down because I can't be outside. So like the allergies, the bugs, the heat, the snakes, like it was just, it was terrible. We're here, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like looking at the extended forecast. Can I start to plant flowers? Can I start to put my veggies out there? Right. So here are some ways to use your the spring energy to support you too. One, change your scenery for a dopamine boost. Remember, our brains are understimulated and our brains don't have as many synaptic connections to access the dopamine to help us get started more easily. So maybe it's just as simple as opening the windows and getting that natural breeze coming in, right? If it's not humid outside for me, like I have like all these, like if it's not humid and there's no pollen in the air, then it's great to open the windows. Maybe move your work outside. I've had a lot of my students doing this. They're calling me and they're outside talking like under a tree on a bench, a little blanket or whatever. And it's just creating so much more interest and ease to get things done because you've changed the environment. I like to go sit on the patio to get things done, just to, get outside. And it's just novel this time of year if you've been kind of inside because of the cold. I love this. Rearrange furniture. So maybe, just changing things up a little bit. Or if you have like I do this for the holidays. I have a couple of holiday throw pillows and different things. Maybe you have some spring decor that you put out, whether it's, if you celebrate Easter, it might be tied to like that kind of seasonal thing, but it can just be like lighter colors or maybe lighter throws if you do that. I used to have a neighbor when I lived in Texas that had seasonal curtains. They would change out their curtains. That was next level. I remember being like, what?
Right.
And she would take them down and wash them.
Oh, that's a lot.
And put them away. I know, but because when you take them down, they're dusty or whatever. So she'd wash them and put them away and then put up the spring curtain. I was like, and she had pillows and things. And again, for me, that was next level. I can't keep up with all of that kind of thing, or at least I don't want to say I can't. I have decided that is not something that interests me to try to keep up with. But I do like the simple idea, maybe a couple of throw pillows or something to create a little of that spring touch. So you may have noticed I have a little, was that on my list? I don't remember if I bought that last week or not. I have a wreath. I think that's I think that's next time because I bought it like right after this list, or maybe I had it last week that I don't remember if I shared it. No, maybe I forgot to put it on my list, but I got a spring wreath. Yeah. And it's on a list. Maybe it's on next week's podcast because I think I finished this one and I wrote it on that one. Give me the back end of the thought process here. But anyway, just change your scenery, create a little interest. Number 2, use spring cleaning, that urge to kind of tidy things up and declutter to get things done with more ease. So it might be just making a little list of things that you want to tackle. For me, it's motivating to get it done in the spring before it is warmer in the summer. Even though it doesn't get as warm here, it still gets too warm for me to want to do like the garage or things outside. So I want to get them done while it's cool.
While we have a breeze.
Yep. Or maybe set a 15-minute timer if you're like, you know what? I can't tackle a project, but I do have an interest in just setting the timer, and I'm going to do the junk drawer, or I'm going to clean out this cabinet, or I'm going to organize my spices, or whatever it is. Just 15 minutes, set a timer, go, and then let yourself stop when the bell rings. Maybe you just want to set a spring goal or intention. So we do this in the membership community for each semester. So in the spring semester, I offered a live workshop last month to help people pick what's the thing that you want to stay focused on over the 3 months of this semester. So maybe there's something that you want to target specifically to have a celebration that you finished it at the end of the season. So it might be like by the end of June, I want to have blank. Maybe it's organize your garage or cleared out the hall closet or whatever it is, but give yourself something and find ways to connect to it over the course of spring. Number 4, try something new. So this is the last one. Maybe you want to try like a spring playlist. My son's always creating these like seasonal playlists and he shares with me. And I love it because they're not like obvious songs that like have like spring or something in the title, but they're songs that for him make it feel like the change of season and springtime. So he sends them for the fall, for winter, for summer. And so I love the idea of curating, like if you're into music, a specific list, or you can just ask, whatever, if you stream music, ask your music streamer to pull a spring playlist together for you. Remember that novelty creates interest and it fires up your brain with dopamine. So what I did was I just walked around the yard for 5 minutes with the dogs in the morning because I was watching the bulbs come up when they were just starting to piece. So every morning I would go out and just walk around. It reminded me of what I was doing when my vegetables were growing. And because, spring things pop up so quickly, it was satisfying every day to see like, oh my gosh, this tree has buds now. And it didn't yesterday. Or like yesterday, I walked out to look at my little tree.
Yeah.
Fred. He doesn't have any buds yet. But I'm like, all right, buddy, last year I thought he was dead, but I now know he will have buds. He just hasn't.
Yeah. Take his time.
So yeah, it's just kind of fun to like start walking around and I'm getting excited about my veggie garden that I'll be planting soon. So use the natural energy from spring to give you a boost and just explore how you would use the change of seasons to support your ADHD brain. All right, finally, the book of the week. This is a goodie. I enjoyed this. So this is by Jillian McAllister. The book is Famous Last Words. And I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. I'm going to read you the summary because they did a much better job of summarizing it because I'm always afraid of giving something away. And this is one of those that you don't want to know what happens. So I'm going to read their description. It's June 21st, the longest day of the year, and a new mother Camilla's life is about to change forever. After months of maternity leave, she will drop her infant daughter off at daycare for the first time and return to her job as a literary agent, finally. But when she wakes that day, her husband Luke isn't there, and in his place is a cryptic note. So it begins. Breaking news. There is a hostage situation developing in London. The police arrive and tell her that Luke is involved, but he isn't a hostage. Her husband, doting father, eternal optimist, is the gunman. What does she do? What she does next is critical because only she knows what the note he left behind that morning says.
Whoa.
Famous last words. Loved it. Very quick read. Got into it right away.
Ooh.
Yeah. 4 out of 5 for me is like a good read. So that's my book for the week. And now I have a quote from, and I apologize if this person's alive. I have no idea if this, I always like, if this is like an ancient person or is it, I have no idea, but it's Matsuo, M-A-T-S-U-O, Basho, B-A-S-H-O. I'm sorry, I do try. So they say, sitting quietly, doing nothing, spring comes, and the grass grows by itself. Isn't that sweet? I just love the idea. You know, it for me, it reminds me that time goes by regardless of what you do. So what if you put some intentionality behind it and decide what you want to do with it? Because it's next week we'll be here, God willing, whether or not you do anything. So what do you want to celebrate next week? And plan for that now to support your future self to get it. That's it for this week. Thank you for checking us out. As always, I invite you to check out the website ADHD-Friendly if you are looking for more support to go from struggling to thriving with your ADHD. Until next week, tally ho.